Hello friends, thank you for taking some time to prioritize your health and listen to my message. I'm Dr. Monique Mazza. I'm a naturopathic physician and I live here at Earthaven Ecovillage. My passion is to empower people with knowledge to fertilize their health and be more dependent on themselves and our innate biology to be healthy, instead of so dependent on things from the outside world like supplements and fancy treatments and things like that. So I'd like to give you a flavor for some of the types of information that we're going to be exploring and learning together at the Healthy Living and Yoga Retreat. So the idea is to really experience a day in the life of a healthy lifestyle and get a sampling for various techniques that a healthy lifestyle would include, and to empower us to be more self-resilient and responsible for our health. I like to teach people about food as medicine and how making connection to nature and making connection to others is very important for our innate biology. And also how to tap into some of our survival mechanisms that already are built into us that help us be adaptable and flexible. And some of those mechanisms are actually stimulated by a little bit of stress. So here's where we learn that the right types of small amounts of stressors actually help wake up our biology. Our biology wants to survive and thrive. So how do we do that is some of the things that I like to teach my patients about. One of those ways is basically through exposure to cold. Mostly through cold water exposure. So this is an old naturopathic technique called hydrotherapy, using water temperatures most oscillating from cold to hot to stimulate our biology. And what it does, when our body is exposed to cold water, it is a threat. And sometimes the body thinks it's going to die if we get too cold. So naturally the body gets better at reproducing our mitochondria. Our mitochondria are our friends. They are our little cellular powerhouses. They are the engines within every single one of our cells that help us produce energy and convert food into fuel and do all the things that are happening at amazing rates to make us manifest our human biology and the intelligent beings that we are. So thank you, mitochondria, for working so hard for us. And the way to boost their reproduction is through exposure to cold. So few ways to do this. One of my favorite ways is to get into the sauna and get nice and hot, and then take a cold plunge. A natural cold plunge would be best. Here at Earthaven, we have the great fortune of having a Finnish sauna right next to a creek with perfectly cold water, usually about 55 degrees or lower, but right about 55 degrees is tolerable. So being in a sauna for about 20 minutes and then a cold plunge for a few minutes, maybe 1 to 3 minutes, just a short exposure is all it takes. And then back in the sauna and back in the cold plunge, maybe a few cycles of that, always ending in cold. The body loves to be in a cold state, and then it can naturally bring itself back to warming. And that the request to ask the body to go back to warmth is tuning up your engines to make your body better at all the things that it does, like fine-tuning your physiology. So waking up those mitochondria. Oops, we just got exposed to cold, we might be under threat, we might be dying, let's get stronger. So let's reproduce our mitochondria. The second way to do this, if you don't have the fortune of a sauna and a creek, is at home, simply in your shower. So turning your water to hot for about 3 minutes, and then quickly turning it on to cold. And while it's cold for about 1 minute, you do a friction rub where you're just generally rubbing the body down and over the kidneys, over the thyroid, over your lungs for 1 minute. And then alternating that, you do 3 rounds of hot and cold. So hot for 3 minutes, cold for 1 minute, and then times 3. Again, always ending in cold. Last and final way to do this is through a face plunge. The simplest way, maybe the least threatening way, if those of you who are cold shy, I used to be for sure, is just a cold face plunge. So getting a bucket or a barrel, something that is big enough Again, water that's about 55 degrees. Plunge your face in it for 5 seconds and take it out for 5 seconds and repeat that 3 times. So plunging in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds, and no really hot in that, just really basically going in and out of the cold water. And that can, try it and see how much vitality it gives you. In fact, last night I didn't sleep too well. I had to have a puppy who got sick, and so coming in to film this video, I was feeling a little bit tired. And as I was bathing, I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a cold exposure at the end of my bath with vigorous friction rub, and it really helps create blood circulation and stimulate your circulation, stimulate awakenedness, and definitely turns on your energy. So try it for yourself, and I hope you like it. And you definitely build tolerance over time. If you're shy about cold and you're thinking, oh wait, I never would do that, try shorter amounts of cold. So if you can't make it through a whole minute of cold, just do 15 seconds. 20 seconds and build up your tolerance. You'll be surprised to see how easy it gets and how actually you look forward to it. So I hope you like that. The second way to stimulate our innate biology and tap into some of our survival mechanisms is through this pathway called the nitric oxide pathway. And I'd like to give a little thanks and gratitude to one of my teachers, Dr. Zach Bush, who's taught me a lot about just basically the basics of health. And he's a Harvard medical MD who's really validating the principles of naturopathic medicine. All the philosophy that I learned as a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Zach Bush is really taking it to a level of getting it well known and really validating it through some of his research. So thank you, Dr. Zach Bush. And this nitric oxide pathway is something to know about because it really helps us basically grow our muscles. So how do we do this one? Basically, nitric oxide is a peptide that lives inside of our muscles. And if we can do specific exercise to fatigue the large muscle groups, the body thinks it's starving. So we fatigue the muscle group, and innately the body thinks, uh-oh, I just got into trouble. I almost just starved to death. So what happens is the body wants to then feed itself and get more efficient at feeding itself. So our body's food is quite frankly glucose, which comes from sugar. And so when nitric oxide is released, when the muscle is fatigued, nitric oxide is released to basically help the body get better at finding food. And so this is really going to help the muscle grow. It tells the body get more efficient at using fuel, which is glucose, and get bigger and grow. It also accomplishes this through expanding our venous system. So vasodilation is also a natural effect of the nitric oxide release. So through the vasodilation, we start to immediately feel better. We will feel usually a little bit of tingling in our fingers and toes and our extremities. Sometimes feel a little bit giddy and a boost of energy. Certainly over time with doing these exercises, you will notice that you're more toned. Your muscles will be getting a little bit more toned, a little bit more less likely to store body fat and build muscle. And so this is great for people who are having a little bit of a struggle with pre-diabetes or metabolic syndrome, where there's sort of a creeping up of blood sugar and a creeping up of cholesterol, and you're turning towards medications and doing all types of dietary restrictions. This simple 4-minute exercise that Dr. Zach Bush has created basically targets the large muscle groups, and it helps fatigue the body, so we release nitric oxide, and then getting this whole cascade of beneficial vasodilation and efficiency at utilizing glucose, which then drops our blood sugar, so we basically get less tendency towards diabetes. Less blood sugar, the muscle gets stronger, and our body gets more efficient. And so definitely a great way to feel energized if you're in the middle of an afternoon and wanting to reach for a cup of caffeine. Doing a simple set of these exercises really helps boost your energy, bring back your cognitive blood flow, and you can often skip the caffeine. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the nitric oxide exercise and how to do it. So we're going to demo that for you today. And I'm here in my casual business clothes just to show you the point that this type of exercise really is quick and it can be done anywhere. I've done this in the middle of a conference, on a break, running out to the stairwell, just to get a little boost of blood flowing and vitality. So in general, there's 4 exercises, and the first one is a squat, where we're pretty much sitting back in a chair and we're engaging our muscles to really get the large muscle groups involved. So we're squatting as if we're sitting back in a chair. So getting the squat right is important. I want to show you this from a side angle. So we're not just bending the knees here, we're actually as if we're sitting back. So you can see how the position is very different when I'm intending to sit back in a chair versus just bending my knees. Okay, so pay attention to that one piece. And the second one is just involving the upper body, where we bring our arms to a 90 degree and then back down. So doing one each side counts as 1 rep. So we're going to do this 10 times. And then we do a full swing up and over and down. And we want to basically click and make sure that our hands are touching on the top and touching on the bottom. And this is really good to open up any tension in your shoulders. But if you do have a lot of tension in your shoulders, that this movement is prohibitive, there is a slight modification that you can do, which basically is coming up through the center and down. And this is a little bit less strenuous on your shoulders, doing it this way versus the full swing. However, working your way up to this is actually going to help release tension in your upper shoulders, and you'll see that this is maybe, not to be feared. Definitely work your way up to this full swing. And the last part is doing these pumping that I usually like to say, I am strong, I am strong, I am strong. So it's like as if you were lifting some weights here, and you're just going from pretty much straight out and then lifting up and doing this 10 times. It's that easy. Okay, so I'll show you one run through of putting this all together. This is 1 repetition of these 4 exercises, and here we go. So we're gonna do 10 squats. 10 arm pumps. 10 up and over. And we're holding our core and engaging our muscles and really trying to think about using muscle energy. And then I'm strong. And it's easy as that. Repeat it 2 more times and you're good to go. And if you could do that twice a day, 3 times a day, even better. It takes about 1 hour for your nitric oxide to build back up in the tissues. So don't do it within an hour, but 2 or 3 times a day and you'll be feeling great. I hope you like it. So I hope you like that one, to wake up your biology and get healthy without having to spend any money at all. So I hope you like this advice. If you like things like this is sort of the type of giving you a flavor of the type of messaging and empowerment that we're going to be giving you through the Healthy Living and Yoga Retreat coming up June 21st through June 25th. Hope to see you there.